Hello there, beautiful beings. Here we are, Truth Talks TV, and I am with my beautiful guest, Polona Somrak. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Truth Talks.
Thank you for inviting me and co-creating with me.
Yes, yes, this will be a beautiful co-creation. I love that. So, you are an Ascension guide, is sort of this title that you have, one of your many gifts and roles in this world. Can you tell us what does that mean? What is Ascension, and what do you see as your sort of role as an Ascension guide is?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for asking me this. You know, it's a kind of question that has a very multiversal, kind of appeal to it. Because if people instantly, when they think about these labels like Ascension or Ascension Guide or teacher, there was part of this reality that was unfolding in our spiritual terms in the ages that came and go. The thing is that everything, even the Ascension Guide, can still be considered as a label. But I've just started using this recently because I was told, by my own spirit presence that it's very important now because people are reaching out because of this immense shift that's happening on the planet, that it's important that we claim our energetic signature, which is not our entire signature. It's kind of like a role we play here. But even that role, as we shift, is shifting and it's changing. So, I might not stay with always, the wording that comes through as an Ascension Guide. Right. But we flow. What we're doing now is we're flowing because we all have, like you said, many gifts, many tasks. But what is important in the path of Ascension is to know where you are right now, what you're doing right now. What is your main thing that you're being called to? And many people now are being called to. So, yeah, this started for me when I started, opening up to myself. And I remember I read these books once, I think were from Patricia Corey, and they were describing, what it is to be an Ascension Guide. And it wasn't even awakened to that degree yet. But I remember I highly resonated with that word. I was like, what is this? I feel like I'm a part of it, So I wasn't even thinking about that. And all of that came later spontaneously when I started doing Ascension Pioneers. But, if you ask me what's Ascension is, I guess it means different things to different people. Again, it depends on the level of awareness where you're at. But to explain it in very simple terms, because, truth is basically very simple and untruth is complicated. It's uneasy. Truth is what feels right in the heart. And many people are now starting to remember that what flows easily through the heart feels like truth, feels like it's universal. It's not just, we have our personal truths. But it feels universal. It feels like, yes, that's the thing, because a lot of the old that was coming through, through different channelings and material was focused on, showing Ascension as something complicated, like you need to do something, you need to prepare yourself, you need to do a lot of meditation and, I don't know, light body, Merkaba, vehicle, I don't know what kind of types of healing sessions and whatnot to prepare, which made people believe they need to do something in order to be. But we are already who we are. Ascension is basically what I call unveiling to who you truly are. So it's reaching your highest potential. And it means to embody your soul, because the soul is the feminine aspect of creation, and your spirit, your I am presence, is the masculine part of creation. So through your soul, which is the feminine, you open up to that spirit and you start moving on another wheel. Like, we have many timelines here on Earth. Even every day you can shift. You can pick, for example, what you eat for breakfast. You have a timeline where you're going to be, choosing fruits. You have a timeline when you're going to be choosing cereal, things like that. So all these timelines in Ascension are merging into one when you really start flowing through your heart. So Ascension is like moving from this wheel of repetition that was very much known here on Earth, certain souls that were learning through this experience. But now a certain part of souls for, choosing to embody this journey now, it's like, it's just a choice. And these souls are saying, yes, I'm ready now. It's like coming into this other state. So it's like shifting in your form of playing. It's you move on from this wheel of repetition, which many have been saying it's like a wheel of karma. I don't like the word karma so much because a lot of temptation comes with it. The same goes for Ascension though. So we need to be very careful how we present these things, that they have a pure essence. Everything that I like to talk about needs to have a pure energy behind it. It's not about the words, because of the truth that is behind these words, which is energy. Everything is energy. So like I said, Ascension is choosing a part when you no longer, choose this game. Now you choose another game, which is to be in constant bliss and flow and in your soul essence. So it basically is like you remember again that you're not a circle. You're no longer in this wheel of notion that keeps, doing the repetitive movements.
Right.
You move on the spiral of ascension, and you choose another journey. And a new cycle of creation begins for you. And it is a personal choice. And it has nothing to do with, people still believing it needs to be forced. Because on a soul level, everything is playing itself perfectly. And it's a choice that needs to be for the highest good of every, individual soul aspect.
Right.
So thing.
Yeah, so that's what was something I was going to ask you, actually, because we do have, free will and choice. And so anybody can just choose this, really, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's also this sort of aspect of, or let me ask you, is there this aspect of sort of the divine, the ultimate divine plan, and ultimate divine timing? Is there a sort of, play between the two?
It is. And that's funny that you asked this, because I think recently I'm receiving a lot of questions about this. Because we're coming into this time that people are noticing, oh gosh, it feels like something is changing. It feels like, for instance, we say, let's talk about co-creation. Everybody's mentioning it right now. And people still sometimes don't know what that means. It's, wow, I can choose to create whatever I want. But like you say, the main difference I see between free will and divine will, which is something I started writing about back when I started with Ascension Pioneers. This was one of my first articles, I think, about free versus divine will. It's not so complicated as it might sound, because it's true, there is a dance between the two, because there's always a dance between everything in creation.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Creation, everything is about perfect flow of this polarity that creates all of the things in creation. It's kind of like this thing that's inner knowing. It's not something you mentally can comprehend or understand through the mind, because human mind on this level where we are in evolution as species is still not capable of understanding some things on this level. So we're moving now in the heart to understand these things. So free will, as how I would feel it, was this decision for souls who kept on learning, like I said before, in this cycle, which was more like a circle. So they chose many things to explore creation and to explore about who they are. Because in essence, people who like to say we're all one forget maybe that at the same time we're also an individualized source aspect. And the individuality is now also coming back for people to embrace through their own unique soul expression. So free will was kind of like more a predominant kind of sorts of experiencing until, you fully remember your divinity. And once you do, because you're plugged into that divinity, through your soul, into your I am presence, you're basically no longer really interested in following the free will. It's because, it's like a baby. If you imagine the cycles of growth, you need to say, okay, no, I choose this, even though your parent would say it's not wise to choose this. Take the higher road. You need to experience it because you're still at that level of maturity. You need this experience. But when you grow, you will just shift. It's all about maturity and growth and where a soul is in their divine remembrance. So when you shift, you say, oh, now I see the higher road and I no longer need the experience. You see, again, it's all about the choice. So you always will have the ability when you're still embodied to choose between free and divine will. But the thing is, the more you will be mature in soul expansion, the more you will choose not to, because you understand that your divine will already encompasses the free will. Will I see is like a subsequence, in the, like a subparticle in the grander scheme, which is the divine will.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to comprehend this because people say, there's a destiny. There's this great divine plan, and it is. But still, in a way, how you move through it, through some things that are already predestined, like these cycles of time, cycles of creation. These are things that are happening no matter what we choose in our lives to happen. So free will, how I would explain it, is how you choose to go through it. How you choose to go through something that is already like this divine plan for soul's evolution. But free will is the aspect of you that will say, okay, maybe I'll go through this with more hardship. Or maybe I'll choose to experience some things more, and some souls will say, maybe I don't need to, maybe I'll choose another path. So this is the aspect that I would refer to as free will.
Yeah.
Divine will is already all that is.
Right.
You can't comprehend it with the human mind. It is so, like you think the word divine logic. you still don't know what it is. You just feel it in your heart.
Right.
Can you explain it? Can you explain creation? Can you explain the universe? We can't, right?
Right.
We feel these things. And
Yeah.
we each will always feel them on the level of our own awareness and expansion. So that's the beauty of it. You see,
Right.
every single individualized aspect will see things differently. And that's why I like to call that, you know, the truth is always one, how we're created, the nature of everything in life within all that is. But realities and realms, there's as much of it that there are soul expansions, you know.
Right. So yeah, there is kind of like universal truth, right? And this is how I've sort of seen it. Like there's universal truth, but then there's also your own sort of individual truth of where you are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a realm of experience, and this is what I'm talking about a lot with the people around me and the community that I'm establishing through Ascension Pioneers, to get this out there to people that you can choose whatever you want, and this is your own co-creative ability to choose the realm of experience you wish to experience. And by the way, there is no judgment, there's no bad or wrong or right. There's just choice. It is so neutral, in fact. It's just knowing yourself and then tapping into. So you have many options. But usually if you see within the polarized nature of everything, most people will say you have two. Take the higher road or, you know, the lesser road. And even sometimes, you know, when we had a bad experience in our life, and at the end, when we went through the experience, we saw that even that which seemed like bad, at the end it brought us to something that expanded us.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is, in fact, very neutral.
Right, right. So with the free, so you were saying that what you truly desire is in line with the divine plan. Would you say, like, what you truly desire at your spirit level? It's just that like you were saying, your free will, maybe your sort of maybe limited egoic desire might then say, no, but I really want this. But you know, deep in here, you're like, no, this is what you really want. Come here. You know, that's kind of how I've sort of seen it.
Yeah, it is. It is something like that. On this level of awareness where we are right now as humans, it is kind of like that. But, you know, many masters like to say truth is different and different levels of awareness, which is true. Because in certain parts of our universe, there are worlds that don't have free will. And people might think, oh my gosh, but how do they learn? They don't understand that this new different dimension, it's a different realm of experience totally. You know, it's that they learn in a different world. They learn in another way, because there's not just one way of learning. You see, sometimes we project everything how it is here on Earth, that it has to be also there elsewhere. Like, you know, when researchers say, scientists say there's no life on other planets because we've researched it. Yeah, life like this, like, you know, carbon-based. But we don't look into other realms. We don't see with the other eyes that can see these things and those forms of life, because forms of life are numerous, are infinite. So it's very much like I say, a very interesting game, a very interesting, like a playground of so many things, you know, unraveling. And we need to kind of understand that our vision will always shift. You know, the more you expand, you're already there. And what seemed like true a while ago, it's no longer truth. So that's why it's very important now in this age to not identify with something that is true for us at this moment, because it all is in this moment. And we're expanding so fast now that people are literally saying, but I just felt this yesterday. I no longer feel it today. Why not? Because you've shifted so fast.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? I mean, it's, wow. And that, I mean, so there are people out there who are resisting it, right? Resisting the shift? Is that, I mean, or they're just not really resisting it. I mean, maybe it's just like they're just at a different place and not open to it. I mean, how does one really tap into that and just go there? Like, how do you even, you know, how could you even, for somebody who's not even, oh gosh, I'm not even like making sense, I guess, but how do you sort of like tap into that spirit, you know, self?
First of all, it has to come from, really, you need to want it. It needs to become your highest aspect. It needs to become your devotion. Yeah. It's like people that I share within my community space, they're all really devoted to this, you know, and whenever I'm posting energy upgrades or whatever's happening, how I feel the energies and what's being sent to me through spirit is what's the guidance that needs to come in the now moment. Because when you have this position of being an ascension guide, you always need to flow with what is given to you in this moment. Sometimes you know things beyond, but you know that you will always work for the global level because you come here to guide the people around you. So it will always be for the highest good. That's how spirit guidance works.
Yeah.
For everyone personally in our lives as well. It will always be not what your ego will want, but what you already created yourself on the spirit level. So now you're just tapping into it. You're just, you know, kind of taking it from that subtle level,
right,
from the other dimensions. We're just all pulling it forth. That's what we're doing. So basically, it's very simple. Like I said, you need to want it. You need to feel it. It's kind of like an inner awakening. You know, a lot of people are noticing, well, my friends are not this way, or my parents are different. And yeah, there is kind of like a split happening, but it's not a split like a separation within duality. It's a split within choice. And people are choosing different things now, which is normal. You know, if you look at creation, which is infinite, no part is the same and no part is on the same level. You know, like people who move on the spirit planes, they pass over. They also go because they choose to on a soul level. They won't wait for us. They're not making it for us. They're just making that for themselves. So the same goes with Ascension. It's another similar decision. You say, okay, so up until this moment, I've been suffering. I haven't been seeing through the eyes of spirit. I've been struggling. Is there another way? You know, and then it's like an inner pull because you already made that soul decision, you know, on the superconscious level, which then through your other levels is anchoring into your conscious. And that's why people are receiving these wake-up calls through numbers and a lot of things that are coming from the physical environment, because that is already created through, like I said, through our superconscious, and then it comes to our subconscious into our conscious. And that's why we notice these things and synchronicities are starting to happen. And then you see more and more magic flowing into your life. And it is all about magic and feeling that moment and in being in tune with that. Everything starts happening naturally. And it's not a process you can control, but it is a process you have to take responsibility for. That's the difference between control and self-responsibility.
Right. It's just kind of like you said, it's just like wanting it. Like that's what I've sort of noticed along my own path. It's just like truly wanting it. Like if I see, like sometimes through contrast or something, like, oh gosh, this feels icky. Like something like my spirit saying there's better, there's more, not more, but like better. There's a better way. You know, it's like, okay, I want it. Like show me how, you know, just whatever it is that you can express sort of, you know, there's no specific prayer or anything. It's not about that. It's just like whatever sort of comes through you. Like I want to see, like I've felt myself often, I don't like to even use the word prayer. I think you've said that in one of your videos. I remember thinking that. But it's not even a prayer, but it's like your spirit just expressing, like I'll be like, I want to see the truth. I want to see beyond, you know. And then yeah, it is just kind of shown to you, right? It's like you just have to be ready and you have to want it.
Yeah, Ascension is how I feel it also, the embodiment of your highest potential. You know, a part of the purpose as an Ascension guide for me was always in my life, but you know, later it was shown to me why. I didn't know, you know, I always, when I met someone, even though their physical embodiment did not always be in that alignment, I always saw the soul and their potential. So a lot of people would call that, ooh, you're naive. You see something, it's not there. But that's not being naive. That's holding a space for someone who's not yet seeing that on their level that time. So as a session guide on my level, where I am right now, I feel it's very important to see the highest aspect of people. That's why even people who write to me are not so aware and ask me questions that are sometimes very disempowering. I still, you know, I always reply to, try to, in divine timing, reply to everyone, put the energy out, see that divine space. So that person, if they are ready, of course, it's like I said, it's not through control. If they're ready and they want to, they can see that space. Because a lot of us now is now holding this higher space, higher potential. And through spirit, it's being birthed into the material realm. You know? That's we're doing it together. And when we're coming into power together, like you and me now co-creating this, our power actually multiplies. And it's out. And that's the most amazing part of it. That's why I love doing these things, you know, and speaking so publicly and share with others as well and talk and co-create, because so much energy goes out there. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Right.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. You mentioned earlier, and I really like that, because I think about spirit and soul, because I think I've noticed that sometimes people almost talk about the two being the same, and I've sort of felt that they aren't. So is that something you sort of explained that? Can you explain that again? And just seeing it as the masculine and feminine, I haven't really seen those two, because I've kept on like, I keep on feeling like it's this dance. I keep on like wanting to know, well, is it this or is it that? It masks, you know, and it's like, it's really just this dance. But I'd love for you to elaborate a little more on that, the spirit and the soul.
Okay. Part of my journey a lot is also to talk about sacred divine principles of creation. This is a part that is still unraveling, you know, in my life too, as it comes and goes in stages. It's like we're all remembering, you know, it comes to us when we're ready for it. Even on my journey, you know, that's why I always say to people, we're not the same, we're unique, but, you know, we are one. So, you know, I'm not up there somewhere and you're up down here somewhere. We're all equals. But when it comes to us, this understanding needs to come, this higher understanding, like this truth that is how was said to me, shared, that is truth that is one, basically. And I like to call this, how I heard it through spirit, the realms of illuminated truth. And this truth will always be one, no matter which perspective you look at it from. It's the same, the way that I describe certain other symbols, you know, like the infinity symbol, which is the lines, you know, representing all the creation and all the infinite, and the middle spot, which is the eternal space of all that is. And the same goes for this, what you asked me right now is, but before I start explaining more, I want to really say to people that this knowing doesn't come from, for instance, me sharing it. Because otherwise it's just information. It's just knowledge. When it's wisdom, it comes from within you.
Yes.
Sharing, it's just triggering people, triggering light codes of their own inner remembrance. And that's why I came here for, because I can remember for someone else.
Right.
It's just uplift and share and guide, and that's all that I can do. Basically, I need to embody it myself first. So these things that come through me, through a lot of sacred symbols, like the one you're now asking me about, has a lot to do with triangle and with the heart, and not the heart, the circle in it. You can see the circle as a yin-yang representation, which is the polarized nature of everything in creation. Yeah. You know, even every universe you can see has a polarized opposite of it. It's the opposite frequency, which is the same energy, but an opposite, you know? That's why there's a yin and yang symbol that is representing this nature, this law. I like to call it principle more. But what you said about love, and this has to do with love, you asked me about soul and spirit, is because a lot of people now, we say love, all is about love. But as an essence, how we're created, we're all love, wisdom, and power. This is the trifolded flame. This is the sacred heart that I think even Jesus has been talking about this. And there's many representations about this. You know, through the symbolism and paintings. And this has to do with understanding that we have all these virtues, and this is our grace, this is our natural state of grace. So it is important to know that how we're created, because of this polarized nature, we have feminine and masculine aspect.
Right.
And the father aspect, which is the masculine, will always be that light. You know, this is the spirit, this is the I am, this is your eternal self.
Yeah.
Then you also have the feminine aspect, which is the divine feminine. This is the other aspect that you could say is the soul. It's the part of creation. So this is the creative part. And this, what I would say, is the infinite part of us. The soul is infinite. The spirit is eternal. That's what I like to say, you know, even through the explanation of infinity symbol that I have given and shared, it's very important to distinguish these two words because they're not the same. Because eternity always is. It's always there. It's always, it's like at the point of non-moving. And the other part, which is infinity, is always exploring, you know, many realms, like you said before.
Right.
This is our soul. That's why soul goes out to explore, although the soul is always a part also of that greater part, which is your eternal part, which is the I am, the spirit.
Yeah.
So because of that, you know, there's a triangle. If you have heard, and I think everyone has, you know, I think it's even shared in religious circles about well, I rather call it the trifolded flame, but some people call it divine mother, father, and child. And we all have that within us.
Okay.
You know, because it's the same way with, you know, many people now talk about the aspects of twin flames, twin souls. And this is basically all about the nature of how we were all created. Because there's other aspect, the mother, which is the two within one creating the third. And this third energy is the space. And this is what we can all tap into when we reconnect back to this state of our original state. It's for self.
Right. So
you
it's
can't say things with the mind. You have to feel them.
Right. So we have it within us. And it's sort of it's being in integrity and integrating the two within us. But then, and I wasn't actually even planning on talking this, but now that you mentioned this whole twin flame thing, then is there something about it also being in the physical and the masculine and feminine coming together?
Yeah, this is like, oh, you said you want to talk about this as well. I remember, yeah. Many people are now wanting to talk about this because this is a thing that I feel we're all drawn to naturally. Because why we're so drawn to it, it's because, not just because of the fact that many people still seek love externally outside of themselves, but I feel it goes deeper. It's like this primal knowing that you're a part of this, like I said, this wholeness. But this thing that, you know, many seek for, like a soulmate or a twin flame, and there's many labels that come along with it that were also a lot had a lot to do with manipulation and false illusions that are not really bringing people to their empowerment and true realizations of truth that is within divine principles of creation, but rather to put them, you know, in this disempowered space and to still seek externally.
Yeah.
But there is such a thing, I wouldn't even call it like that because it's so sacred. That's why I started using the word sacred partnership instead. And it can be, of course, lived here in the physical as well and experienced because, you know, as above, so below. Everything here is a representation of our spirit state. But like I said, it has to do with you first embodying this and coming into this divine remembrance yourself. It can't go any other way because otherwise you're just seeking out there. And if you're not magnetizing, vibrating at that frequency of your total divine remembrance, which I call divine reunion, when you merge with your uniqueness of your soul aspect, and then through it you feel your I am, then you cannot expect this to be here in your physical life. Because I need to add this in this period of the new, which now we have entered, especially with this year, 2013, after the 2012 portal, which was known all around the world.
Right.
And all of this journey probably know it and have felt it at that time, that it opened something like this new life for us, which is starting now. And the thing is, in this new, we can no longer, those of us who are aligned to the new energies, you know, the old ways simply no longer work because you already, you know, upgraded yourself. So if you're trying to, you know, like people who like to say, for instance, let's manifest. In the new, it doesn't even work that way anymore because manifesting means, you know, with a lot of work, a lot of visualization, a lot of this and that and techniques, and then you will have it. But in the new, we need to first become all of it. And then it comes. And then it meets us because we just become it. We don't no longer seek it. It's just there.
Right.
We fully have this knowing. We need to have this knowing within us because our whole being needs to vibrate with that.
Right.
So this era of the new is kind of like the era of embodiment of all that we truly are in our soul's essence.
Right. So yeah, it's not as much. You've said that before. It's not as much about manifesting, but just magnetizing. So we were talking about this earlier before we started recording. We're talking about co-creation or creation. You know, we have this power, right? So how do we sort of, again, maybe balance the, you know, these like sort of desires within us, like the egoic versus, you know, the divine desire, and, you know, knowing that we can create anything. So then it's like, what is it? How do we really know what it is that's truly trying to like come through us, what we truly are trying to create without letting the mind get involved, I guess, you know, because there are these sort of lower desires, right? Like more egoic, like they kind of feel like lower versus, oh, when you see like a more like, oh yes, that's a divine desire, spirit desire. How do you sort of, you know, tap into that or feel into that or see the difference? I don't know.
Yeah. First of all, a very important aspect here which is something that one of my beloved sisters of light also speaks about. Her name is Kara. She does Ascension notes too. She's in light as well. And she likes to talk about something that I'm really deeply resonating with. She talks about how in the new, you are no longer focused on certain outcomes, you know, like I want to live there, I want to have that kind of car, I want to have that kind of thing, but you're focused, you're creating from soul essences. And soul essences mean, you know, things like peace, joy, bliss, you know, you radiate this out. That means you already are all of this. So if you want peace in your life, you have to become this peace. And then it's smeared, you know, all over you everywhere, because you create with consciousness, and the new we create with our awareness. I've made a lot of videos when I said we don't create through our mind. You know, people say law of attraction thoughts. We don't create with our emotion. We create with our magnetism. And magnetism is connected with the whole being. Because when we say, oh, our thoughts create, we simply associate ourselves as being our thoughts. Are we our thoughts? I don't think so. Are we our emotions? I don't think so.
Right.
We're a being that is so infinite and eternal at the same time that we're magnetic. Everything in the universe is because of magnetism.
Yeah.
But it is such a thing that you describe, which is how I feel the law of polarity has to do with the static and magnetic energy. So when we're coming from the soul essences, because of that balance, it's really important to know that when we're coming from the soul, we're in neutrality. We're not like, we don't have these, we are uplifted, we can feel bliss, but we are not like ecstatic over something that we so desperately wanted. And when we do that, it's usually coming from our egoic self. And how we will also notice that it's not coming from the soul essences, because we will be seeking for something particular. Or for example, we meet a certain person and we say, oh my God, that is my beloved partner, and that's it. And then you totally exclude all other options out because you become fixated on just that option instead of remaining neutral. And so I would say the most important thing is how do you recognize it, because it's true, people need to recognize on their own to see the difference, whether it's like desire or whether it's just, you know, embodying your soul essences and then everything coming naturally to you. Is neutrality, then to remember and know that you're a magnetic being, that your whole magnetic nature radiates out, that you need to embody first, and to focus on soul essences instead of what you wish for. For example, you know, also it's important that you feel everything as true right now, because when we say I want a house in nature, I really want it, we constantly focus on it being somewhere there in the future. But now, when we're really embodying our soul, everything is already here now, although maybe it's not physically manifested yet. We feel this essence, and because we know it's our truth, we no longer have fear. It's like when you feel that there's this partner here and this journey also with you, although they have not yet physically found you, found them, or found each other. You just feel it, and because you know this so deeply, you lose the control. And you just focus on, for instance, in my life, I would constantly be focused on the soul essence of service. So I say my soul essence focus is service. I'm always of service, and that's how I flow. Someone else maybe will choose another, you know, soul aspect. But we have to remember our main soul essences are those three, which I said: love, wisdom, power. And everything else comes from that. Variations that you can choose, and it's important to always have that for the highest good of me and all else, because when you focus on that, then you're of service. And there's a lot of souls now on this planet who are shifting from service to self to service from others, because they're losing that feeling of, oh, I just need to create for me and I need to have this, to, oh, if I have this, for instance, if I have abundance, if I have a lot of money, I can share it and I can do, I don't know, a center, I can do this, I can help. You know, that's when you're shifting to service. And that's also an important indicator, which maybe would be 0.5. You're shifting into service to others and to all that is, instead of just service to self.
Right. So what if, I mean, if that, like, knowing that it's just already there within you, whatever it is that you sort of, this desire, I think I've felt myself then sometimes, though, again, the mind then goes, oh, but I don't see it, or, you know, and then you try to take hold of it, you know. Is there any way that we could just, like, I mean, I'm doing it right now, just, like, rest and relax into that, like, knowing, you know, and not being attached? You know, how do we not attach? Just, like, I mean, I guess there's, you know, as you try to not attach, you're more attaching, right?
The word try is very catchy, because it, again, puts you away from the moment, you know. Past, present, future, now, it's all in now, it's all here. And now is this is very intellectualized concept. But how I would say, when I say now, I mean heart, I mean here. Here, I live here. Because the heart is what connects you to soul. It's not just being a good person. I say, I'm a good-hearted person. It means living in the heart. That means the heart essence. You shift it into your heart essence, and you start, you know, you're just fused with your soul. And when you're fused with your soul, you will see the signs, because, like I said, you'll be focused on service. You'll be focused on what you wish to experience. Like, if in my direct environment, I don't see peace because there's people, you know, in the city constantly doing something and it disturbs my peace. And if I can't feel peace, even though that situation, that means it's still coming from within me. What still triggers me? Because, you know, true peace means that anything can be happening in my external environment and I can still feel peace. That's when you totally radiate out. And that's when you really start getting things from the physical change as well. So when you ask me how to shift, is something that I really wanted to talk about in my next videos coming up as well. Because a lot of people just say, for instance, I have this question lately, yeah, we get it, it's the shift, but why? Why, Polona, why does it still feel so difficult? And it's this idea that they have that you need to struggle, that needs to be difficult. And why? Because you are associated with ideas about things. Like, for instance, like I said before, about a certain partner, and you build this label around them. It's just them and no one else. And that hurts so much when maybe your illusion is being torn down and you're being shown another picture. And just what we're doing now is we're unveiling all these illusions and coming into the true nature of all being neutral. And when people have this struggle, I always ask them, what do you feel? Do you have a belief that it needs to be difficult? Because a lot of people speak about the phenomenon of twin flames, twin soul, I would rather say, because twin flame became rather popularized and abused. But twin soul concept of two, you know, like polarized opposites who are total mirrors of each other, that it has to be difficult. It's so challenging for them to come together. I'm like, who said this?
Right.
So you imagine your mirror, you know, and of course you need to both be ready there.
Yeah.
It will be effortless, it will be flow, just like in all things in spirit. What I've learned lately in my own life is just flow. For example, I was out this weekend. I wanted to surrender my phone number. I remember I came there was no one at the, you know, there at the store. It was open. I said, okay, I'll go to another store, you know, and see what happens. Came back, there was still no one there, and I said, okay, I'm listening. It's not happening, so I went home. You see, it's like a river. But if someone would choose, oh gosh, no one's there, why did they do that? Bad service, you know? Of course you're creating this for yourself because you're not flowing with the river of life. Again, another example I have is when people say, it's so difficult, I'm not feeling the joy right now, I'm not feeling the magic, I'm in pain. So what they do is, they sit with their pain, and they're like, okay, I'm surrendering, I'm feeling, but they're not doing anything about it. What we need is mechanisms, internal mechanism to shift that. Yeah. And I've created this program. It came from a joke with my friend. We had these Skype love sessions that we did, you know, just like 2 weeks ago. We said, we're going to do love sessions and we're going to create just this magic feeling for ourselves. And if we had a rough time, we weren't sitting and, you know, like, oh, it's bad. We said, let's dance. Let's do this. And we literally noticed, and we called it, we said, we're shifting the shit. That's what most people they're not doing. They're feeling the crap that's coming out. We're all releasing now. But they're just, a lot of people are just not making that next step, which is move your energy. That's why it's called the shift, because the energy needs to shift. Right. It's not, releasing is one part of the journey. Releasing is when you empty yourself out. But then you need to, you know, you're creating the void to be filled with the new, which is love. It's divine love that's pouring on the planet right now. But another stage is, okay, how do I do it? How do I shift? Whatever. You know, whatever gets you to feel that magic again. And it's so much about magic, because that magic is what your soul essence is. And a lot of people just complain. And it's not working. And they ask me questions about it. And, you know, I can't share how I do it in my personal life. You know, it's like I can't record myself all the time. But I can...
You'll be a reality show, Polona. They'll just have a camera on you.
That would be funny. It really is simple. Once you start to take responsibility for your life, once you become an empowered being, because a lot of people wait. For instance, I just had this sentence this week when this woman said to me, oh yeah, I'm in a relationship that it's not really going well, and my husband is drinking, but I guess he will release me one day. Okay, a drunk will release you? Yeah, you know, things like that that people say to themselves is really not empowering. It's really not going into your soul core and saying, what kind of life do I want for myself? And this is the new era we've entered into now. It feels like it's our first year, so it feels, because the energy's shifted so much that the old laws of how we were creating before and associating with the world are now totally changing. But we need to be aligned with the energies, like the earth is changing, to, you know, to kind of, a lot of people are not connecting enough with the planet like shifting as the planet is shifting, because we are planetary beings. That's why we are in body here.
Right.
Just whenever it feels difficult or hard or you cannot feel it, you have to find something else that gets your magic. For instance, something didn't work out, you didn't get a job that you wanted, or you didn't, whatever. And instead of just, oh, it's not meant to happen, okay, I'll just wait, whatever, and you're not doing anything, you say, okay, I'll find something else that will bring me this feeling of my inner magic. It won't bring me, it will just trigger me to bring it from within.
Right.
That's how we're shifting the energies, shifting the shit.
Right. So it's still good, though. I mean, it is good to feel to feel whatever it is that's coming up. I've always kind of felt this, like it's really good to be honest about it, notice it, whether it's journaling or whatever it is, but then really just releasing it. And like you said, then not sitting there and staying with it. Like, let it come up and then just like let it go.
Yeah, because releasing is just a part of the old self that's gone. So you create the void, and then like I said, it goes in stages, and the void is the stage when you yourself, a co-creator, conscious, human, divine self being who's becoming self-realized, who realizes that you've always been self-realized, but now you're just waking up to that fact, bringing here to your body. It's like you're saying, okay, so I have to fill all that empty cup with something I want. This is where, like I said, conscious co-creation comes in. Yeah. And this is what we're going to be learning in the next few years, humanity overall, to how to fill that cup. It's you, how to shift the energy after all the releasing, all the purging. And that's how I feel my role a lot, is to guide people how to create the kind of lives they want to live right now through their highest potential. Yeah. First, we needed to remember it, of course, right? And then embodiment follows. Right. So, yeah, releasing is an important part of the journey. And
but it's not like, is it something that you think that as long as we're on this earth, we're continually doing on some level or another of this sort of releasing? It's not like, is it just that it just happens in this certain chunk of time and now, or is it kind of always sort of happening?
It is like this. I always say everyone is on their own timeline. So you might feel at a certain time you're releasing and someone else is not. Or there are certain times, like there's this recent solar flare activity that's very intense. And it's been ongoing for several years and will keep magnifying. And I've been receiving guidance about this a lot, how these flares are bringing in light codes and light packages directly from the sun, which is just energetic connection, another link to the grand sun, to the bigger sun, which is the source of this universe, and bringing light packages here of our remembrance of our fullest potential. And they're assisting us with that. But like you said, it is really important. It is so important to know that we're each on our own timeline, that as much as you are willing, as much as you are open to receive at that time, you will. So a lot of times you will feel when these solar flares come, you'll be like major triggered. You'll be releasing. You'll be feeling body pains because, in fact, we're all also healing the original cause, which is that first separation from source. When you're birthed, when you become an individualized aspect. And that's the kind of part New Age movement forgot, because they're all about oneness. But in oneness, you can also lose yourself rather quickly. The New Age, the real New Age, how I like to call it, the era of the new, is here basically about souls remembering their authenticity, their authentic divine self, and then living it, because we're creative beings. We have so much creative potential. And this is how we're going to create things anew on this earth, and, different things that are going to come about physically as well. Yeah. But it's important to cherish your timeline. Without comparison, people say, oh, so how come I'm having a headache and you're not? Well, I've been releasing maybe prior to this, or maybe I'm releasing something else right now. Right. It's important to know where we are. That's what Ascension is about. It's your journey.
Yeah, it's so easy to compare, right? I see that in my own life sometimes, because especially with the internet, which is such a beautiful thing, and I think you've said we've created this for us to all sort of connect, which is beautiful. But on the flip side of that, of course, you get to see, everybody posting, everybody doing all this stuff, and it's so much easier to compare, right? Because you're like, oh, and look at this person, look at what they're saying, and
In this case, I would say a lot of people fall for the words. But I like to say it's not about the words, it's not about images, it's about the energy that is behind it. Yeah. Because in the old age, we were fed a lot of things through the words, but now we're becoming so sensitive through all these upgrades, energetic upgrades we're receiving when we're opening up. It's like our whole body is an antenna, right? We've been talking about this with you. you will be like this magnet, like this compass for everything, and you'll be just feeling truth. You'll be so in your power when you step into your full potential. That people can say no matter what to you, but you will feel, you will know through that. You will know through words, you will see through words, and you will see that you don't need to compare, you don't need to anything, because it's just truth is always self-obvious. But what is important is, where are you? What are you about? Where you are in this journey? Because it will always be about you. You will always remain individualized. You know, a lot of people said in the New Age, oh, then your soul is complete and then it goes back to source. Well, that's a myth. That doesn't happen. You become on another, you start existing because you have shifted and you have grown, you have matured. You become this part of source that has personalized itself in order to explore all this infinite creation, to remember itself back, and then become, like, again, this amplified and how, I don't even have a word for it. It's so like, you know, received through heart and through feeling, but it's like parts of the source that became independent, individualized, and started creating on their own, are starting to remember, oh my God, we're gods on our own too. We're part of it. Yeah. You know, people like to say, I pray to God, I'll be fine. You know, it's the era when we need to say, who am I as a living God presence, a part of it?
Yes.
This is the part that we're now coming into power with, into embracing of.
Yes, I love that. And I think that, you know, especially to possibly people who are maybe more still in religion, that's going to be like, what do you mean you're a God? What do you mean, you know, like, but yeah, right? It's like
part of it that chose to explore the individualized aspects. And you're always, like, creation is always changing. You know, it's never the same. There's cycles of creation. And now what's happening is, through the guidance I received, is not just that the earth is ascending. Earth is ascending because the sun is ascending, but the sun is ascending because of the grander picture behind it, which is like the whole galaxy is changing. Everything is changing in creation. It's like a new cycle is beginning. And there's like cycles within cycles. You know, the Mayans knew a lot about that.
Okay.
Everything's a cycle within a cycle within a cycle. You know, that's what it's basically spiral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it is rather important to, like I say, to become aware of your individuality and see the divinity in it, not the, you know, the ego. People like to say, oh, when you say I, it means the ego I. I like to say, no, I mean the I am.
Right.
My individualized God presence.
Polona, this is so, and you mentioned at the beginning of this about this, you know, like, you know, not labeling and things, but then you're sort of seeing how it is important to still at least take, you know, claim of your role in this at Earth, and I totally get that. But when I first started, like, my blog back in 2011, was it 2011? Yeah, I had to do like a about page, right? And I had the hardest time trying to describe myself. And so one of the things that because I had started going, you know, I had already started probably 2008, 2009 having, you know, part of my awakening was sort of happening then, or whatever you want to, I don't even like to use that word awakening either, but part of my major shift was starting then. So I was already kind of understanding some of these things, and that was one of the things that I put in my about was, I don't like labels, so right now it's just going to have to be I am. I'm like, God said he's, you know, the great I am, and that's all I could really say, because it just felt like that is really the truth. I mean, that I am, you are, you know, and then, okay, you can have then on this level in this earth, then, you know, certain roles.
Yeah, it's important right now. What I always feel is that, you know, New Age was all about denying your human self. Oh, just meditate, just live up there. We've been talking about the first time Skype, remember? And now, you know, the whole physical part, you know, the people who are totally in the 3D paradigm still are all about the, you know, egoic stuff, all about the materialism and the materialistic stuff.
Right.
And it's now not about, you know, even that. It's about merging, and you can only do that merging spirit and matter once you understand creation as it is. Okay. But you see matter, you don't see matter as bad. People say this is an illusion. It's not an illusion, it's creation. It's creation illusion. It's created. You can touch it. You can feel it.
Right.
You know, even in dreams, you're still in creation, although you cannot physically touch it. It's still tangible on another level.
Right.
But it's part of creation. And a lot of that denial was present in the past. When they said, oh, deny, you know, you had to be a yogi, you had to be a saint, you had to, you know, give up food and your possessions and everything and go to India and be this, oh, just surrender yourself to God. It's like now in this real new paradigm, we need to remember this was extreme duality. Either one aspect, either escape up here or just be down there.
Right, right.
Living here in the heart, which is embracing the divinity of all, because even these realms of experiences, these infinite realms where souls can explore, are divine. What created it?
Right.
There is nothing else but the divine. So how can we say, oh, this is bad? It's just our perception of it, which was totally plugged into the egoic, into the abusing, resources and even our planet itself, that has gone too far astray. It's not the matter itself. Matter, there's nothing wrong with matter. Materialism and materialistic approach, which was because of duality, because of the fall of our true grace, that's a different story. So material realm is good if you know how to explore it through your divine self. Like I said, this merges the heart to bring the spirit and matter together. We're doing it. That's ascension. That is ascension, to answer the first question.
Right. So is that where we're headed? We wanted to talk about the new, where we're headed as humanity, is not, because it's not about, right, like, not, we are on this earth. It's not about being so spiritual that you can't even, like, function on this earth. Like, it is about, like, bringing that in, like, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and bringing that in, like the earth in, the heaven in the earth, heaven within the earth, and bringing it out.
You already answered your question. To answer it, but it's true. It's about making things real, I like to say. It's like making things real, because there was a lot of talking and people are just sharing stuff on the internet, and now it's like you need to embody it. If you're just talking it and your energy is not vibrating at that state, you're not changing anything. That's why I said it's all about magnetism. It's all about embodying this, what we know, because just knowing is up there. It's not enough. Bring it here through every aspect. So I would say ascension is, on the most spiritual sense, is bringing your spirit through your heart, which is your soul embodiment, down into the lowest part, into your physical most part of you, and living as a self-realized being here. Which was, I think, many masters spoke about this already, but a lot of the things they spoke about were not yet tangible to people. They thought it was not reachable for them. They thought it was just for a few selected people, those who attain themselves to these special methods, or I don't know. It's not about that. Everyone can, like I said, but there is an integration that needs to be done. It's a devotion. It's a process in your inner journey.
Being committed to it, and that's what I truly believe that too. It is, not. We all have your different roles. Like, as a role as a guide, your role might be to help lead and guide others to it. But no one person is more special or important than other. It's available to everybody. It's in everybody. It's just a matter of.
That cannot be. Once you understand divinity, once you understand love that created all that is, you cannot look at another being or an animal or a plant and not see it as your equal. And a lot of people, when they speak about love, they just think it's about two people exchanging energy between them. But there's this magic that happens when you are open to love of all that is. You can exchange it with a tree, with a plant, with a flower, with an animal, with sky, with the wind. I just have this amazing relationship with the wind. It's like how the spirit talks to you through that. It's like when you just feel everything as love, because it is. Love creates all of this.
That's beautiful. So that's where we're headed as humanity. You said something before about perfected human. Like, that's what we're heading towards, like in this sort of space of more, this true, like, I guess, alignment with that?
So you can say, that's not just some labels I use, because I like to put things out there energetically. They carry these codes to activate people. You can say perfected human being, you can say self-realized being, you can say embodying your highest potential, your highest aspect. You can say an integrated human being, like I said, you integrate in your body, your highest aspect. You can say many things, but when you are in this journey, you will feel it. You will radiate it out and people will be drawn to you, like it happening to me. When you become this, you don't even need to do anything. Sometimes, I remember last week, I wrote this simple note about what's changing in our lives, and this woman wrote to me that she just totally cried when she read my post. It's so odd, and she feels such grace. And it's because of, like I said, the energy behind it.
Yeah.
I can just say, blah, Ascension Pioneers, blah. It's about, people say, what's my purpose? I need to do something. our main purpose, all of us being, like we said before, all unique but all equals, is to embody this love. This is our main purpose, and then the tasks will vary. Yeah. So our main purpose is the same. It's always been love. It's always been love, because love is what created us in the first place. But our tasks will vary. So this is where we are individualized. And our tasks are not to be discovered through complications. People say, I want to know whether or what I am I indigo, am I starseed, am I this? What am I to do? What am I to do? And you're already asking yourself the wrong question. Ask yourself, what are you being drawn to? What brings you bliss? Because joy is your soul. Your soul is bliss. So therefore, when you will feel bliss, you will know it's coming from soul. So that's your question. You know, it's your answer.
Yes.
It is. It's so simple. And we seek for this external confirmations and people telling you things and giving you signs and signals when you have it here.
Right. And you might get the confirmation on the external too. That's like I think that's an added benefit, but it's not like, it still is from within first.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, when you seek it out there, usually you'll be presented through challenges, because you'll give power away to others if you believe that more than your heart essence. But another form is when you will receive this great reward. It's not a reward, I just say it like that. When you will just totally trust yourself, and then confirmation will come. And you'll feel so elevated because you already knew it and you trusted yourself. Yeah. And this is self-empowerment.
Exactly. That's beautiful, because that's something I've noticed is a huge sort of message that I've been receiving, is like, you know, I keep on wanting sort of other people to tell me, and it's like, Kat, no, like, why are you valuing other people's like knowing or opinion above your own? Like, that is just, like you said, giving your power away. So
yeah, we're here. We need to remember we are vertical beings, but we're also horizontal beings. Like I said, spirit and soul. Soul is the infinite, the horizontal part. So soul also wants to share, wants to connect. So it's natural, you know, to also want human touch, human contact. And that's part of us. Otherwise, we'd all stay in spirit and never explore, you see?
Right.
And the thing is that this is a very important part of the journey to realize that people are not there to feed us something, to give us, to make us happy, or to give us validation, or, like you said, external confirmation. We're here to just share, to exchange energy of love in whatever kind of way that is. Yeah. Even people who think, oh, that was bad, it was not meant to happen, and say that they did not come from love, this. Because you have the thought of what love is. When you will have thinking what love is, you'll prevent love, which is just what it is, happening naturally, because everything that happens to us is already planned by us, for us, in order to grow and expand into more love. And a lot of things also, I think, are associated in this time and level with people embracing the fear of choice. A lot of people are afraid to take conscious decisions because they're afraid of what will follow. That means they're still disempowered. Because when you see that everything is neutral, whatever you choose is good, it will bring you either way.
Oh. Yes, that's so good.
All roads lead to Rome, they say.
Yes.
All roads lead to soul, yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
It is. It's so simple. You know, it is simple. So if you were, for instance, watching this video when you're empowering yourself, because it's good sometimes to uplift yourself with the videos and messages, whatever, but it feels heavy and dense in your body, and you feel it's complicated. It's complicated for me. It's not right for you. So my advice for people also is to just choose through simplicity. And I've just been given this information through my recent automatic writing about the flares and the cosmic activations that are happening. Choose simplicity, because we're pure beings as souls. We are created through purity. So choose as much simplicity in your lives. Simplify your life, because a lot of excess energy is now coming too, because so much is being purified. There's a lot of information coming through that is not coming from source. It's coming from other levels that are not all coming through purity. So we need to be very much in our sovereignty, in our discerning nature, and really feel what feels right. So sometimes something comes and you want to react to it because, oh, it feels so good. When we're neutral, we rather respond, you know, through that, being objective observer, through awareness.
Yes.
That's so a crucial part of the Ascension journey. So that I wanted to add that as well.
Yes, I love that, because that's kind of what I would always say is the flow. Like, if something you see something and it feels kind of like that, like heavy, doesn't feel like flow, then it just might not be for you right now. So if you out there are watching this interview and this, like you said, it felt sort of heavy for some reason, well, then maybe it's okay. Then maybe you'll come back to another time. Because actually, this is what I shared with you, Polona, is that when I first started seeing some of your videos, at first I was just like, don't think that's for me. And I mean, I watched some of them and I was like, okay, okay. And then but I didn't feel like that. Now I watch them like all the time. So it's just like, go with that, like you're saying, go with that simplicity or that flow, that ease, just what's like, you know, drawing you naturally. And that's exactly what you need, right?
Yeah, and when we're in this state, it's really simple. It's really simple. We're not attached to ideas, to people, to the outcomes. We have no expectations. We just fully want to be always in that state of bliss because we know we can be, because we already are it.
Yes.
So how to create it? Well, like I said, we need to shift the energy. We need to know how to shift the energy if it doesn't feel that way. So people will be learning a lot about this in the coming months, years, I feel, to really, because it's connected to this fear of making a decision. Because you're no longer, oh, in this passive mode, okay, I surrender to the divine. That's one part of it, yes. But now you're like, okay, I know now that by surrendering to the divine, I also know that I am divine. So because I'm the individualized part of divine, I also create. See, the thing of being passive.
That's so beautiful. We're gonna end right there. That's amazing. It's such an exciting time, and I'm so thankful that you joined me to share and to just share this love and light with people. Anybody, this is for anybody, you know, it's just for whoever's out there who's watching and feels the, you know, yeah. And so I want to also mention that, yes, Polona has this beautiful website, and we'll put it below in the show notes and everything, www.ascension-pioneers.org. And there's so much goodness and just juiciness on that site. I end up watching, and I've told you this, I end up watching her videos. I like go to sleep. I go like before bed, I'll watch them because she posts quite frequently. So there's a lot of amazing wisdom and light there. So definitely check that out. And thank you again, Polona. So wonderful to chat with you. And we'll
I just wish everyone to totally remember who they are, to just enjoy that, embrace that. And you as well, of course. You already feel like so glowing.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, absolutely. Remember who, oh, that's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Bye to the world.
Bye to the world.